Hi, I'm James. I'm the teacher and owner of BumbleB English. We are a small English school in Satagaya, Tokyo. I've been teaching English for about 11 years or so now through BumbleB English, and this is my first really time to do social media. I've always been pretty busy doing other things and never really had time or inclination to have much of a social presence. Things that we do have now online or just study material or material that we offer or recommend to students and parents. So I'm a little bit of a newbie to social, even though I'm not a newbie in life. I got the gray hairs to show that. But bear with me, and hopefully the advice and information I provide is useful. So this past week or so at BumbleB, we have seen several students leave because of the new school year. In Japan, the new school year starts in April, so a lot of students and parents primarily are arranging after-school study programs for their children from February to March. So we lost a few students because of the schedule changes of their cram school. It didn't quite fit with our classes. But we've also got some new students into the school, including a few adults, as well as a few students who are returning to our class after finishing cram school. So a few students have finished elementary school and they have wanted to enter a private school. So in Japan, many students study after school at what's called a cram school, usually 3-4 times a week, a few hours at a time. And then they sit down and take a all-day test or so, maybe a few hours, to see if they can enter a public or private junior high school or high school. So a few of our students left last year because they wanted to spend more time studying, and then they returned this year, a few weeks ago actually, and we'll be happy to see some of them back. So it's a good feeling to see when students come back to the school. Also, we have introduced a few new adult students who are looking to improve their English for a few different reasons. One is more professional. He wants to improve his business English, to use English more in job. Another adult student wants to brush up on English in order to perform interviews at international schools. So international schools in Japan, a lot of them have interviews coming up in the fall, and so many students have to give interviews, in English. It's really a play thing. It depends upon the age. But for the parents, it's also useful if they know English too, because a lot of the international schools, their main language is English. So if the parent doesn't really speak English, it could be a little bit of a difficulty for them in an interview process and also going forward with the international school. So we do offer classes for adults who want to improve their language skills for many different reasons. So we're happy to see those students as well. For some of our existing students, they have come to me and said, James, I'm having trouble with English. I'm really looking to expand my vocabulary. What can I do? Well, typically, students would use a vocabulary book, which would show the word and the definition of the word on the next page, or they would make a flashcard and try to remember the word, flip it over, and see the definition. Those processes I don't think are the best way to really learn vocabulary. For me, learning it in context is the most important thing. So I've always recommended reading. So read as much as you can. Start with a basic level, or maybe a level that's a little bit lower than your own, and then gradually you'll master, the very basic level of vocabulary, and then you can add a higher level and higher level, higher level. So there are a lot of available step readers that the students can use to improve their vocabulary. I also recommend using material that has English on one side of a material and then your native language on the other side. So that way you can quickly understand the material in your native language and go back and see the English word. If you can't find a book like that, then take a screenshot of the page you're looking at in English and do Google Translate or do ChatGPT, search for the translation meaning, and that's also pretty quick. Nowadays, I don't see many students use hard copy dictionaries, though we do have a few students in one or two of our classes in elementary school that do use them, and I highly recommend it. It takes some time to look up words, but I think it's a process that students should still know how to do. In addition, they should know how to use Google Translate or other translation services as well, just as a time saver. So again, for remembering vocabulary, the main thing, in my opinion, is to look at words in context. So have a paragraph or a short story in English, have your native language translated nearby if you can, buy a book like that, or do your own by doing Google Translate. Also, I think it's also important to focus on a topic. So many students are interested in soccer, football for the European viewers. So if they want to learn more about football, they should look at articles related to that sport or the interest that they have. And then once they master a lot of the vocabulary in that field, then they can branch off to another field, say, for example, baseball or swimming, and they can master some of the vocabulary in that area. And that way, their knowledge of different areas that interest them will improve. And that's much better than, say, trying to memorize words and topic that a student has no interest in. That's very hard to do. So that's another tip that I would recommend for students who want to improve their vocabulary. The third tip would be to write things down. So I'm a pretty big believer in writing things down. I think the connection between your brain and your hands is very important. It's very useful if you have to write down 5, 10, 15 times one word. You'll get to know what it means. You get to know the spelling. You get to know how to use it in a short sentence. I think that's very, very important and also a really good process. So unfortunately, none of these are shortcuts to learning, but these are all tried and true tips and can be very helpful for students who want to see an improvement in their vocabulary. Lastly, of course, is repetition. Don't just do it one time. You have to repeat, go back over words you've learned 2 or 3 days ago. Again, go back over words you learned 2 or 3 weeks ago. And of course, go back over words you've learned months before. So that way you can recall the words and you can remember them easier going forward. So these are the tips for me for this time. I hope to make this channel more active and try to contribute more videos weekly, maybe more if I can. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching.